Silver Lake has an incredible history of modern architecture. There's Neutra Place, and Richard Neutra, in the 50s and the 60s, he was trying to develop this whole area. The stair streets are famous. They kind of weave in and out of this whole area. So you can go far. You know, you could spend the day just taking the stairs. People live on the stairs. They constructed the houses without any access, street access, so everything was brought up. Los Angeles is all about, you know, you drive on the streets and you think it's just concrete and cars, but everyone is creating their own little spaces of magic. I'm fortunate because I'm the last house before the stair street starts, so I'm really fortunate because I actually have parking. It's a hillside, so I wanted to do a house that was appropriate for the lot. It was a very difficult house to construct. It screwed everybody up because it has no right angles. We're in the entryway, and the concept of the house is it's two hexagons that meet in the center, and where the two hexagons meet is the entryway. And then I can do things like this. And the concept was one hexagon was the public area, and one of the hexagons was going to be the private area. It's a pretty small space, but you have decks on both sides. When you have the decks, it feels really large and expansive. So that's the observatory, of course, the Hollywood sign. To the west is Hollywood, to the east is Pasadena. You can kind of get a view of downtown. I love Los Angeles. And the house itself, with all the angles, the triangles and the hexagons, I didn't want to look at the view from one angle. I wanted to look at the view from multiple angles. So that's why by having a hexagon base for the house, you got multiple angles on the view. You know, you almost always have a view. The upstairs is a whole nother thing. It's smaller. So the upstairs is a 600-foot studio. We ended up designing it for basically being a short-term rental. So it's a hexagon, so if the downstairs was two hexagons and two triangles, the upstairs is one hexagon and two triangles. It's basically half the size of the downstairs. I was extremely lucky in many ways. I got a good deal on the lot. When I bought the lot in 2008, it was the recession. No lot had sold in Silver Lake in 2 years. It's hard to imagine when you're in a boom time like we are now, how real recessions are. It cost a lot to build the house, but I also built during the recession, so it was really easy to get people to work. I had to wait about 1.5 years just to get the loan because they weren't giving constructions loans out during the recession. But the advantage was I was able to work with the architect who's a good friend. And it's a very complicated design, so everything had to be really thought through. This is, it's a garage, and then there's like 120-foot studio. That I'm renting out now. I was so in debt from building the house. I was $80,000 on my cards. I loaned money from my family and from a friend. I was so in debt. I actually lived over the garage for like 1.5 years. So I lived a 125 square feet room in order to rent the house out short term in order to make money to get myself out of debt. It's 50 steps up to get to the front. If you have a straight staircase up, it kind of feels just like you're going up forever, like a burden. But if you can wind people through it and give them, like, the sage smells really good, you kind of wander up the stairs. They don't become so hateful. So this is the native garden, doesn't use a lot of water. And then I have my vegetable garden. This is a triangle, so this is all the grass I need to hang out on. I do yoga on it. Grass is a luxury, so just have enough that you actually are going to use, you know, and enjoy, and water that and tend to that. These steps are going at an angle, which makes it interesting to go up and down them, at least for me.
So you didn't want anything to be too regular?
Yeah. I wanted it to, I don't know, kind of flower. The outside is very cool, all in grays, and then the inside, I wanted color. I didn't want wood on the exterior. I saved the wood for little nooks. Wood in Los Angeles just gets beaten by the sun, and I had a wood house before, and I learned my lesson. The wood continues on the inside and the outside. And then when you close it, you have this beautiful wood wall. All the wood we use is Douglas fir, which is, for me, like a native California wood that the modernists had all made good use of. I love it because it's very rich. Since there's no right angles, everything are 60s, that's a 120-degree angle there. This is, so there's a hexagon with a triangle, so this is the triangle, that's the 120 degree of the triangle. So everything has to kind of be custom for these spaces. Like, we made this dining table. It's just a series of, I think it's 4 triangles put together for that parallelogram shape. If you look under the table, you can see how beautiful it is with the curves. It's kind of organic on the bottom.
Is that carved?
It is with like a CGI machine. All the cabinets, of course, are conforming. Like, I have like a hexagon peninsula. This is just a very easy to use kitchen. Everything is kind of right at your fingertips. It has a nice flow from, you know, where you would cut to where you would cook to where you would wash. And the refrigerator there, it's not a large refrigerator, just 24-inch. It's small, but it has really everything you need to make nice meals. These open for pantry, so it's like you get secret spaces.
It's also not square.
It's not square, yeah. There's hardly a square. Sometimes, like this is a square here, but mostly things are kind of at an angle. So it's 2 hexagons. This is the public hexagon. That we actually disrupted the shape of the hexagon in places where we pushed out. You don't necessarily obviously know you're in a hexagon because there's these push-outs, and they also give additional living space. And by not having the view straight on, it's like this view of the reservoir, it allows you to look at a little bit of the San Gabriel Mountains. So you get a different slant on them. So I wanted the private area to be like a cog. The whole thing references ships. So I wanted to be able to work at home just in a small area. So I actually put the office area here in the bedroom in order to be able to look out on the view. Originally, the desk was going to be like a boomerang, and it was going to have, I don't know, a pony wall with a ledge on top that blocked it from the bed, so you wouldn't actually see it. But there was only so much space, and I love to work on the computer and do paperwork and look at the view. So from the bed, of course, you have the view of the Silver Lake Reservoir and Silver Top. It has that round roof. It's a really famous, John Lautner is the architect, who is a huge inspiration for this house. This piece, I had done this, which has Silver Top, and then I got it up here, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is the view I have now. John Lautner and Frank Lloyd Wright were probably the 2 biggest influence. So the ceiling, I didn't want to cover things up necessarily. There's notes on it and there's numbers. I just wanted to leave it all because the materials that we used were so beautiful. This is called a pan deck, we're looking at not just the ceiling, but what is holding the concrete. It's become this really nice reflective element, especially at night. It reflects light. To me, it kind of brings back the reflective quality of the reservoir. The bathroom and the closet are really interesting because they're actually the shape of a diamond. So that's the point of the diamond's there, and they have the 3 facets of the diamond. I used the travertine. I have some marble, and all the travertine were scrap pieces that I found, and they were $700 for all the countertops. And then the tiles were all from the 70s. If you look closely, it has like gold flecks, very 70s tile. The house was supposed to be like a jewel. You can see how difficult the spaces is when you look at this shower. It's this odd shape that you had to make to fit into this odd shaped room. If you sit on the toilet or you sit in the tub, you have the view of the reservoir again. And then this garden area is the only area in the house that goes out into the landscape. I have ideas for developing it. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do here. But I'm actually really just moving into the house. I got myself out of debt by renting out both of these places. So I never really lived in it, and I'm just moving into the house for the first time. So now I'm trying to figure out how I actually want to live in it. So this is my closet. It's also a diamond shape, and I wanted the closet to be kind of a sanctuary. Also, I knew that it was on the east side of the house, so it was going to get the least amount of sunlight. This room stays the coolest. I actually haven't used the air conditioner through these hot days. Just by opening all the doors and windows, the house stays very pleasant. Yesterday, I have a futon, which I put on the tatami mat, and I laid down and I read. And this was the idea that this is kind of like my own little meditation spot, or I can sit and I can read. So I actually can, have someone over, use this as a futon. What I want to do is build something that could pull out, and then this would roll out. I mean, and closets are so pleasant because everything else is so expansive, and you can come in here and it's much smaller. And I have my full-length mirror.
Everything serves double purpose.
It has to. It's like a boat. So all the doors are pocket doors. I couldn't have doors. They would be, kind of disrupting the space. And, like to have triangle storage spaces. It's challenging, but it's attractive somehow. It just flows. You walk around it. And oh, you want to look at the guest bathroom, though, because that's nice. When I saw that triangle, it's like, well, you got a kitchen sink that's a triangle. So I was like, well, you got to put a mirror there. You don't get to see yourself. That most people are horrified. Below us is what there's above us, this way of pouring the concrete. And we knew because of the thickness of it, it would naturally crack. But I think the house, even though it's a pretty new house, it feels like it's been here a long time. Also, like the way the beams look, like here, you can see all the, you really get a feeling of the work, that it was transported, it's all scratched up. It kind of gives the history of the house. So the architect designed this because you can't screw into the concrete. So the idea of the upstairs was going to be a yoga and meditation area. And this is an ambulatory, and you can follow me if you like around. When it came to how much everything cost, and the reality is I needed to make money on every square inch, that idea was scrapped. But the original structure was that idea, so it influenced how this unit became. One of the things when we sit meditation, we sit a 25-minute meditation period, and then we walk for 10 minutes. I used to be a designer, so before I became a nurse, I was first a set decorator, and then art director, and for a brief time a production designer in the 90s on music videos. I'm proud to say it has a little bit of a music video vibe.
It has a little bit of everything of you, sounds like.
Exactly.
That's how a house should be.
Yeah, they should be an accumulation of all your experiences. If they're your home, they're somehow a reflection on many facets.